We are down another round in the Hockey One season, and I have been waiting for this episode because I've got I Told You So coming my way from former Hockey-roo and Tassie Tiger in her debut win, Jane Claxton. Welcome, Jane.
Thank you. Yep, as I said in my text message after the game, I was so tempted to just jump in front of the camera and do a whole I told you so, Jace.
I would have appreciated it. I would have been about that, and no one else would have known what was going on unless it was a listener or me, but I would have loved it. I would have loved it. Of course, my name is Jace Gabriel. We are back for episode 26 of the Hockey Hour. We'll dissect all of the round's results and the upcoming round in the Hockey One season. We'll get through the news. We're going to chat to Cam Geddes this week, making his return for the Perth Thundersticks after some injury. And Jane, around the grounds, we have got absolute royalty. Royalty. It is a lady who dominated late night news. She is a podcaster, a journalist. She is still presenting for Channel 10 and is a director on the Hockey One board, hence her connection with us. Sandra Sully coming up later. If you want to jump to Sandra first and go and listen to that and then come back to the rest of the episode, more than happy for you to do that because it is an incredible chat with her that we're going to have. And we'll pick her brain on bits and pieces and help you understand as listeners some of the things that might happen on a Hockey Australia board and also a Hockey One board. So you can get an idea of where some of the decisions come from and how they're made, I suppose, without, of course, giving away too much. But let's get straight into the news, Jane, and our Life Members and Award of Merit ceremony was on the weekend, Sunday, at the Perth Thundersticks game, and we wanted to congratulate the Life Members, Sarah Allenson, Graham Napier and David at AM again, as well as Award of Merit acknowledgements for Janine Hall, John Sidney Wright, Tammy Stanley, Terry Walsh and Simon Thompson. They were presented their plaques on the weekend, so we congratulate them once again. The junior indoor teams have been announced, Jane?
Yeah, if you obviously want to see more in depth of who got selected, head over to Hockey WA website. But Hockey Australia Indoor Championships will take place in January 2026. 16s and 14s will be in Goulburn, New South Wales, and Opens and 21s and 18s will be in Canberra, ACT. For WA, 16s teams will be coached by Jacob Taylor for the boys and Kelly Lee Bell for the girls. And for the 14s, teams will be coached by Hunter Banyard, who's a popular name on this show, I reckon. We've mentioned him a few times. And then Christine Brady for the girls. So all the best for those competing at the indoor champs.
The Whitford Hockey Club are going to be hosting an Indonesian Hockey Federation training camp where their outdoor and hockey fives teams and officials heading over. They will be here now as our podcast goes out and will be here till the end of November. And it's part of preparations for the SEA Games in Thailand later this year. They're going to be having some friendly matches and some community events. So check out the Whitford Hockey Club's Facebook page for all the information and get out there to the Troy Pickard Hockey Centre and check out some of the Indonesian hockey teams strutting their thing. Now, big news for the Junior World Cup.
I know. Spicy news. Pakistan have actually pulled out of the Men's Junior World Cup, and coming in to replace them is Oman. So, they're obviously now replacing Pakistan with the Men's Junior World Cup occurring on the 28th of November to the 10th of December across Chennai and Madurai in India. So good luck to Oman. But, Pakistan pulled out and notified FIH that they wouldn't be accepting their invitation a few weeks ago now. So obviously Oman was the, next highest team that had qualified through the 2024 Junior Asia Cup. And yeah, Boroughs have also announced their Men's Junior World Cup squad. So the difference, I believe, the girls announced their Junior World Cup team, whereas the boys announced a squad because I think there's a few injuries at play there. So they're just waiting on a few guys, I think, during Hockey One to kind of finalise where they sit with injuries.
Okay, very interesting. You kind of read between the lines and would imagine that they withdrawn their Junior World Cup team, Pakistan, so they can go to the Pro League?
I potentially would agree.
Yep.
Yeah, filtering money elsewhere, probably.
Yes. I think that's a bigger, maybe a bigger opportunity. Yeah, absolutely. And they Junior World Cup guys can just play in that, I suppose. So, no, fantastic. And some very exciting news. Perth has been named as the host city for the 2030 Gay Games. The bid process began in January 2024 with 25 cities across 5 continents expressing interest in hosting the 13th Gay Games event. And in December 2024, 3 cities were chosen as finalists: Perth, Denver in Colorado, USA, and Auckland in New Zealand. Auckland pulled out in May 2025, making it a 2-horse race. And then Perth have been chosen. The Gay Games is a 10-day event celebrating sports and culture with a focus on the LGBTQ plus identities and allies, I should say, with hockey being among many of the sports showcased at the Games. Of course, we've spoken to our friends, the Perth Pythons, in the past. So I'm sure when they have a national tournament, which I think might be coming up, players will be, or I'm not quite sure how, we might have to ask them how it works, but do they represent Australia, I would assume?
Yeah, I would assume so, given it's international tournament. But yeah, I've never actually heard of this. So exciting.
Yes. Well, the Perth, our friends at the Perth Pythons, hopefully you can reach out. Let us know how it works for hockey and potentially all the other sports, because we'd love to hear, and keep an eye on our Australian men's, or Australian teams, I should say. Keep an eye. 2030, it's going to be hosted in Perth. That's going to be massive.
Yeah. They're starting their recruitment now. So, there's a few I would already be selecting that are current hockey roos. So if they want to target them, for sure, I think the win's in the bag.
Yes, 100%.
And moving more locally, Boyup Women's Hockey Club celebrates 80 years and inducts 2 life members recently, and those being Mary Ann Inglis and Janice Beadle. Were both awarded life membership for their dedication, passion and loyalty to the club. But yeah, awesome that Boyup Women's Hockey Club are able to kind of last this long and go 80 years. That's an incredible milestone. Yeah,
80 years is huge, isn't it? I mean, there are a lot of clubs, probably around maybe 50, I want to say.
Yeah.
There will be a small handful that would be 80 plus. But incredible effort for what I'm going to guess is a specifically women's only club as well. So congratulations to the life members, and congratulations to the Boyup Women's Hockey Club. Mailbag time, Jane. Let's start with number 3, because and I feel like that's a bit more of intrigue, and it's from a non. So if you're not going to share your name, you don't get to go last. Who's your pick for the MVP for this year's Hockey One seasons? Let's go men and women.
Women, and this is probably her ability, I guess, change the game. You're probably looking at someone like Abby Wilson. Obviously highest goal scorer as well, but she's made a few headaches for a lot of teams in the girls' front. Performed really well consistently across every game. There's probably some stance for someone like Hannah Cotter, but
yes, that would be my choice, I would say.
I'm still not completely sold on that aspect. And I also just don't like rewarding it to an international athlete. And then obviously someone like a Grace Young, I think across all of her games, super positive impact for the Pride as well. And yeah, they're at the top of the ladder for a reason. So they have a lot of quality players in their team. But sometimes you can be kind of overshadowing each other. But yeah, Abby and Grace are probably my picks.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I'd probably throw Greta Hayes in there as well. Probably a little bit quieter on the weekend, but has had a fairly good start in the first 2 games as well. But the men is hard. I want to throw out Liam Henderson, probably as one. Nathan Zinner is probably another. They were probably the 2 for me that I can think of off the top of my head that have probably been the most consistent. In saying that, I wouldn't put it past a goalkeeper either. I think Ash Thomas has been very good in a team that nobody expected to probably finish as high as what they are, or be as high as what they are, I should say. And I think he's played a real crucial role.
Yeah, no, I agree there too. Yeah, and 2, obviously, Nathan Effrins got slightly injured the other week. I thought he was really great for HC Melbourne. Yeah, there probably hasn't been as big as standouts in the men's side. There's been probably more even performances across the board. But yeah, it will be exciting to see. I think it will come down to probably finals.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Anon. Question 2, let's go with. Where do you think the season has come undone for the Thundersticks? From Ryan, who is Ryrite_88. Now, I can only assume he's talking about the women, and it's purely that they haven't been able to score goals. I think they do almost everything.
And I don't think they have 2 games left in their season.
2 games, yep. And New South Wales, because the bye's in there as well.
Yeah, and so I don't think their season's totally undone yet. If they can get 2 wins from 2, then great. Tassie will have a lot to say about that this weekend, but yeah, I agree. They've actually had plenty of goal scoring opportunities. If you actually look at their games and watch them without knowing the end result, you would have said, like percentage wise, data wise, and if you actually look at the data, they often have more attacking 25 entries than their opposition, but they're not, I guess, converting those. So
yep, they hit the posts, I think, in the second half on the weekend. Courtney Chanel probably would have opened the game up. But, yeah, look, the other part to it is if even you can have as many scoring opportunities as you like, you also have to stop them at the other end. So often is the case where you attack for so long and then the other team goes down and scores. And
tragic. It's the worst feeling in hockey.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's probably happened from time to time. But, yep, it's just they haven't been able to score enough goals. And if you look at last year, I think they scored 30 or 40 goals through the season and they've scored 5 for this season. So it probably is the factor for the Perth Thundersticks women. I hope that's who you were referring to, Ryan. And Jane, I've left this one to last because I can't answer this.
You can.
And being that Georgia.ob13 is a aspiring female athlete, I thought it would be best that you answer. And Georgia's asked, how do I go pro in hockey starting at 14 years of age and also female? Jane Claxton, take it away.
Well, I found it interesting reading this question because I was like, well, define pro, because professional athlete, there is associated, I guess, income with that. So I always refer to myself as a hobby athlete where I self-funded my ability to be an athlete. So that's preface number 1. But number 2, there's so many different pathways. And I think that's what I really like to stress to all younger kids coming through hockey, just because there's a set pathway that might be you make all your underage state teams, then you go into under 21s and that's kind of your verge on seniors, and then you get identified in an Australian kind of program, whether that's Gillaroos or Boroughs, or your institute, and then from there you kind of keep that gradual process. That's like the ideal pathway, and probably everyone wants to be in that category. But it is actually the minority of what happens. And so I think you have to be really resilient and patient in terms of if it's truly what you want. the pathway you're going to take is the pathway you're going to take. It could be that you don't kind of get identified until you're 23 years of age, or in some cases 26 years of age, and you just stick at it. And if that's truly what you want, you'll continue down that pathway. And it's so hard to kind of give someone a recipe as to how and what success looks like. And so, I think one of probably my best attributes is how resilient I was all through juniors. I was pretty much told I wasn't a good hockey player, and I was too small, and I wasn't strong enough, fast enough. I think in my under-16s deselection, like non-selection from the under-16 Australian team, they told me I wasn't fit enough. And I was actually representing my state at the time in cross-country. So I was so perplexed by it. But I think all of those kind of things build your resilience, and the rejections and all of that help contribute longer term. So I think, the more resilient you are, the longer term you'll have success, and you'll be able to stay at that level for longer. You'll see a lot of the kids that are the prodigies young at age 12, they're going to achieve great things often once it gets to senior level hockey have kind of died off, because it does really get super competitive at that age. So my biggest thing is don't have a cookie cutter approach to how you're going to succeed at becoming a professional hockey player. I think bend and weave to what suits you, and if that's going overseas, that's going overseas. If it's staying in Australia and going the traditional route, it's that. Or you have to bide your time and you slowly progress like I did. I didn't really become a great hockey player until I was past the age of 21, and that's just how my pathway went. So
No more to add from me. Brilliant, Jane. I hope that gives you a really good insight, Georgia. And you are 14, so keep just enjoying your hockey, and let things happen from there. That's all for the mailbag. Of course, keep an eye on Hockey WA's Instagram story and give us your questions, or you can send them direct to Jane or I. We're more than happy to share anything that you send us. And I should make mention to Jodie Neal, who shared with me the Boyup Brook Women's Hockey Club celebrating. So thank you very much, Jodie. I appreciate that, and I'm glad we could acknowledge that for Boyup Brook Women's Hockey Club. But share anything you like. We are more than happy to discuss it on the pod. Let's have a look at the results, Jane. Round 4 of the One Active Hockey One season. It started Friday night, and the Pride 3-0 down, get back to beat the Blaze 4-3. And after the results of the weekend, the Blaze now sit on the bottom of the ladder. It is...
Yeah, you would have never have guessed. But, they've had a rocky start for sure.
Yeah, it was Sav Fitzpatrick and Dale Dawkins who gave Brisbane a 3-0 lead at halftime, and then Jenna Ray McIntyre, Mariah Williams putting one into the absolute roof
that was
of the net.
Such a good goal.
Alana Kavanagh, and then Chelsea Holmes scoring the winner in the 57th minute. And the Pride keep on keeping on. We go to the men's game, and, well, the Brisbane Blaze boys had it basically sewn up. And then Nathan Zinner decided that he would just change the game. He scored a field goal and then his conversion in the 60th minute to level it up after Joel Rintala and Dakin Stanger scored for the Blaze. And then the shootout, Brisbane had 4 goals. Ash Thomas denied the second shot by Stanger, and all of the New South Wales strikers were successful, all 5, and they came away with the extra point. So huge for New South Wales, and they effectively lock up their finals spot now with, 3 games to go. I can't really see that they're going to be falling out of the 4, considering where everyone else is.
I don't think many would have betted on New South Wales winning that match as well, because Brisbane had a stacked team.
Yeah, no, they didn't actually. So I thought all the boys were back, but they weren't. So the European Kookaburras had one more game in Germany on the weekend.
Okay.
So they didn't play. However, I looked at Brisbane Blazers lineup for this weekend, and they are all back, all 4 of them. So we'll chat about that later on. I thought it was this weekend and got that one wrong, but I think the Blaze still should have won that game. Anyway, we go to Saturday in Tassie, and the boys were up first. Erin Hazel scored in the 3rd, 4th and 8th minute, and that was it.
Oh, yeah, gosh.
Get it
It
done
was
early,
pretty
lock it
boring
away.
after that. Yeah, as Aaron said, he goes, I only need to play 5 minutes of hockey and I'm done.
Brilliant. I'm about it. It's all you need, right? It's all you need. So the Tony Tigers had another loss to the Adelaide Fire. And then the women's game. Talk to me, Jane. You went down early in the 2nd minute. Bree Catley hit a tomahawk that was deflected.
We like conceding goals in the first 2 minutes, and we even talk about it. We're like, okay, guys, really concentrate for the first 2 minutes. And anyway. But yeah, it felt like we had a lot of control over the game for a lot of it. And it took until after halftime for us to actually convert. We had a million corners, I think 11 to their 4, or maybe they had less. So we have a bit of practice ahead of us this week, I think, in that area.
Yeah, Rose Swan getting a deflection on the back post after the penalty corner was taken outside the 5 to make it a field goal. And then Isabel Krumink, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Yep. She scored later in the 3rd quarter. And I think you guys dominated most of the second half in general anyway, from when I was watching it, and that was a little bit sporadically. It didn't look like Adelaide were attacking very much or didn't have enough sustained attacking pressure for you. And Steph was doing her thing. She was back. Geordie was doing her thing. Your midfield dominated. Maddie was running rings around people. You were just yelling at people and marshalling them here and there.
Just only defending, pretty much.
So Steph was whacking people too. Poor Lucy.
I know, yeah. She's unfortunately got a broken knuckle. So rough end to her hockey one.
But nonetheless, Tassie get the points and keep their season alive. We go to Sunday here at the Perth Hockey Stadium, and it was a disappointing day for both Thundersticks men and women. Again, the women going down 2-1 to Hockey Club Melbourne. Lene Milan scored early, couldn't convert, and then Hannah Cotter scored just before half-time. And they effectively, for majority of the second half, defended, and Perth threw the kitchen sink at them and couldn't score, like we mentioned earlier. And Hockey Club Melbourne come away with a 2-1 result. You wouldn't have picked that.
No, you would not have. They're going to come into this weekend kind of do or die, I guess.
Absolutely, do or die. I don't even know if they win. If they could still be able to make the 4. I would assume you'd have to win both. I mean,
yeah.
Then maybe
I think it's pretty much you need 10+ points. I would say, to get into finals.
Okay, so it's going to be this is a big game for both your clubs this weekend, which we'll touch on shortly. And then the Hockey Club Melbourne men and the Perth Thundersticks, it ended up being a 3-1 win to the Hockey Club Melbourne men. Dan Smits and Cooper Burns on the scoreboard, and Ian Grobbelaar sending an absolute rocket again into the back of the net. But it was the 3rd quarter that we saw probably the best of the Perth Thundersticks men we have all season. They defended well, they pressed well, they created a lot of opportunities. And Jed Snowden showed us why he is the Kookaburras, one of the Kookaburras goalkeepers, and kept almost everything out. I think they had one saved on the line by John O'Bretherford too. So they just keep building and showing that it doesn't matter how well they're playing, they can still win. They look dangerous, but the Thundersticks were good.
Yeah, they were. It was good to see.
Hockey WA is thrilled to have the continued support of Styles Electrical Services as the naming rights sponsor of the 2025 Premier League men's and women's competitions. With over 25 years of experience in sports lighting, Styles Electrical Services is committed to supporting hockey's growth in WA by assisting clubs with floodlighting upgrades and strengthening pathways for athlete development. Their ongoing support will help enhance one of the world's strongest domestic hockey competitions, and we cannot thank them enough for their support. Visit styleselectrical.com.au to find out more about Styles Electrical and how they can help your club.
Well, there's a nice segue from the Perth Thundersticks men's game to speak to one of their up-and-coming stars, a man who is, of course, part of the Kookaburras lineup and made his return to the Perth Thundersticks on the weekend. Cam Geddes, welcome to the Hockey Hour, mate. How are you?
Cheers. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, pretty good. Doing all right.
Very good. Well, first question, as always, I know you listen to the show every week. You would know that the guests get asked what their coffee order is. What's yours, mate?
I've been going with like a long neck, 3/4 tops up. It's a bit of a mouthful, but that's what I found. It's just good for me. I don't know.
Good luck ordering that in Tassie.
Yeah.
It's not called that, FYI, so you're going to have to figure out what it's called.
What is it? What is it, James?
I think it's basically a double shot flat white, but the 3/4 full, I don't know how you just never can get anyone else to order you a coffee.
I'll just tip some out. That's all right.
Oh, mate, first up, we just wanted to know, obviously you've come back from injury and missed the first few rounds of the season. How have you pulled up? And I guess secondly, how much did you enjoy being back out there on the field?
Yeah, no, I pulled up pretty well. A little bit donsy as you expect to be, but no, everything's good. All the bits of worry in the last couple of weeks have pulled up well, so pretty happy with that. And then it was just real good to be back out there with the boys. It does very much never take anything for granted now. Anytime we get to go out and play, I can just really enjoy it. That's all it is. So it was really awesome to be back out there.
Yeah, and the game kind of ebbed and flowed in your favour. Obviously, you started really well. Second quarter, they probably controlled a little bit, and then in the third, you had plenty of chances. What was kind of the feeling and discussion post game with what your, I guess, take on it was?
Yeah, no, you're right. And we were, the result didn't quite go our way, but it was a lot closer to the style of game that we want to play. Hopefully it was really exciting for everyone to watch, and it felt exciting to be out there. So yeah, the way we talked about it, it wasn't the result, but it's much closer to where we want to be, and continuing to take that forward into the next couple of games, and hopefully we can get the results go our way.
Yeah, we noted earlier that's probably the best the group has played this season, specifically in that third quarter. It sounds like that's the type of game plan and the structure, and I guess the flow and everything that comes with it that the fans should expect from the group for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's definitely what we want to expect. Just letting everyone play with 100% freedom and just bring the best of what you've got. Really exciting line over line sort of. Real fast-paced hockey. I mean, it's sort of WA hockey from all the way I've grown up. That's always how we've played, and maybe the first couple of weeks it wasn't quite where it needed to be for us. Getting back to that was really good, and I think there was some really exciting passages of play from the boys.
And heading into this week against the mighty Tigers, both I think for you guys as the men's team and the women's team, both make or break. So heading into that, what kind of are your thoughts across this week about game plans? What are you looking at in terms of Tassie to exploit?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think we just got to go down there with no expectation. As soon as you put too much pressure on yourself, you can never play as good as you can. So I think if we just go down there and keep doing what we're doing, I think this week we really try to enjoy it. So I think if we go down there and try to enjoy it, they might have a whole bunch of experience, which could definitely get in their favour. But, we've got that young, exciting talent coming up. So, I reckon for both men's and women's, it's going to be a huge game. My thoughts is just go and enjoy it. You play your best hockey when you're just having fun, not take it for granted. So just need to take a bit of pressure off ourselves and enjoy it. Yeah.
Is that being, I guess, do people feed off that? I mean, you've obviously feel that and believe that yourself, but does that sort of get mimicked across the group, or do you find that some guys just worry a little bit too much about how they're going and it can, I suppose, halter their performance from really blossoming? But do you try to share that with everyone and get it to rub off on everyone else?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I remember having a conversation with Maxie Freeman before the game and just saying, like, doesn't matter what happens, just enjoy the game. You play your best when you're enjoying it. So I would love to sort of be able to know how everyone goes about that during the game and where people sit, because I think for most people it would go a long way. It's probably something that for the last couple of years, like I hadn't really thought of so much, But then, coming into a couple injuries in the last little while, spending some time away from the game, it just gave me a bit of clarity that you just got to go out there and enjoy every single second. Takes a whole lot of pressure off yourself. Like if you're not worried about the outcome, you're just worrying about, going well, having fun. So yeah, I think it has rubbed off, hopefully, on people. I'll try to keep rubbing off in that way. If it's helped me, I hope it can help someone else. So yeah.
The Kookaburra stuff now, we just want to touch on whilst we've got you. There was lots of excitement from commentators and fans about you as a midfielder, and I think I might have asked you during the Oceania Cup in that final game how you felt about it. And for those that may have missed it, do you think is this your position now, like as a midfielder? And I guess the second part too is, do you feel confident there and think you can play your best hockey there?
Yeah, yes, good question again. It's definitely not something I ever expected to sort of be. Hey? Like I've always just been defender and kind of took like pride in being a defensive role. But yeah, whatever they saw in me to sort of go in the midfield now, I still don't reckon I identify as like a midfielder still. I'm still at heart like very much feel like I'm still a sort of defender, but yeah, every game I play, I just seem to enjoy playing the midfield more and more. So I will say that. And yeah, I am enjoying it very much. I gotta admit, yeah.
Defensive midfielder, is that?
That's the gateway drug.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm finding myself in the D a whole lot more than I ever have. I'm still getting used to that. I sort of maybe need to slow down in there a bit, but it's good.
Well, if you need any tips, Jane can certainly help you outside the circle.
Not a goal scorer.
Not inside the circle.
Yeah.
Look, mate, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you being able to jump on before training later today. And of course, wish you guys the best of luck for Saturday against the Tassie Tigers, which, like you mentioned, is a do-or-die game for both you and the women. Hopefully both teams can come out on top, but I'm sure Jane will have something to say about that. But thank you, mate. Appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Let's have a look forward to this weekend, Jane. It starts Friday night, Hockey Club Melbourne and the Brisbane Blaze in Melbourne at the State Netball Hockey Centre. Who do you like?
Oh, this one's, well, I think I'm going to go Brisbane Blaze, I think. They've had their first weekend with all of their players back. I don't know if they'll change any of their selections, but for the women, I think Brisbane Blaze. And then, if the Brisbane Blaze men have all of their recruit backs, I think they could do the double.
Yes, so it's going to be a ripper. I'm fairly certain they do have all four of them back, and that's Tim Howard, Lockie Sharp for his debut for the Brisbane Blaze, Corey Ware, and I think it's Jacob Anderson that is going to play. I'll double check that whilst I'm with you, but I think Brisbane Blaze women have to win, otherwise that's their season. I think they're on 3 points and effectively on the bottom of the ladder, so they have to win. No Jacob Anderson. Diarmid Chappell is back. He's the fourth in, but the other three are the Kookaburras. This is going to be a ripping game because majority of them are Kookaburras or junior boroughs. So I think the Blaze get it done with Corey and Timo being back and Lockie Sharp through the midfield for the men. So cracking couple of games to start. Then probably the games of the weekend. Tassie and Perth at the Tassie Hockey Centre. For the men, let's start with the men because I know you're itching to see what I say.
I think it will be an interesting match. I know a lot of the Tassie boys that are WA boys really are going to be out to prove a point. So
yes.
Yeah, I think Perth will have a hard go at it.
It'll be, it's going to be a fascinating game. I think defensively, Tassie are are probably that's where they're vulnerable with Devo, Jez, Eddie, and you add in Josh Brooks, who brings their average age down. So that's probably the vulnerability. But going forward, Maddie Bird, Hazel, Welsh, I think they're probably going to be just too much for the Thundersticks. Thundersticks have to play like they did in the third quarter, which is hard to replicate. So, especially for a group like them. But fascinatingly, it'll make or break either team's season. Really, I don't think maybe not too much for Tassie, but definitely the Perth Thundersticks men. So I think I'm going to go Tassie as well. And then the women, I'm very torn as to where I go here.
I think it'll be quite a tight match.
Yeah.
Because I think the Perth results haven't really reflected the quality they have in their team. Obviously we had our first game on the weekend with all of our team available.
Yep.
I think it will be quite a matchup.
I'm probably going to go with Perth, purely from their forward line against your defensive group. But look, I spurred you on last week by not picking you, so why not do it again?
Motivate me. I mean, yes,
finally,
they've had the same forward line every single other game, and arguably there's been worse defending lines against other teams. But
Evie's going to have to play a blinder.
Like
every other goalkeeper that's played against the Thundersticks.
Yeah.
And then finally, Adelaide with the Canberra Chill heading over there. I think the men's game, probably the Canberra Chill should comfortably win this. I think Adelaide are still working through. I mean, how many years do we say it, right? How many times are they working through their list? But unfortunately, they were okay last week against Tassie, obviously. But I think Canberra have too many match winners.
It'll be hard for them, for the men. But they do it to themselves. Their recruitment this year was not good. And I don't really understand the decision to have someone like, even though Jeremy Haywood's quality, he's not available for the season. And you need someone, and they needed to, I think, pick a little bit better in that aspect.
I agree. I think Jeremy will be back to play. I think he's back here in Perth. So I don't think that changes very much. But you know what? If they can defend really well and have Jez step up to flick some corners, it might open it up. They've had moments, but it's not consistent. The women's game, I think, will be an interesting one too. I think with Lucy now being out, I think Canberra Chill will win this game. They hung on against Brizzy a couple of weeks ago, but I think they show enough going forward with Lawton into Shannon into Arnott. So,
this might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually don't think the Fire defence are as good as people think they are.
Interesting.
Just from the weekend and what I witnessed, I was like, oh, okay, you've got quality people, but I don't think that they're as dangerous or as a bigger strength for them as people may on paper think they are.
Okay, I like that. I mean, the only way you can tell is when you're out there actually playing against it, really, or studying it, you know. But there was definitely not. It was their worst game, obviously, because they lost as well. But maybe some holes have been found. So I think still the Canberra Chill will beat them. But the Hockey Hours One Active Hockey One tipping competition with the game on Friday in Melbourne. It's 3 hours before 3 hours back to Perth for you to get your tips in. So 3:30 on Friday Perth time to get your tips in by. Otherwise, you get all the away teams, which may not be so bad, to be fair. But TC Hogan's still leading the way, and Josh Lane with a double round got to 21. So they are now shared equal first. Marsh Roberts, Russ Atwood and Heidi Nash have all made their way to equal third. Ben Fells is 19. I've dropped to 18 with WJ Macca and Curtis Scaney. So a couple more wild card, a few more rounds to go, and people will still have their wild cards to come. So it's going to be a fascinating finish for the tipping competition. Of course, a Thundersticks jersey signed by both the men and the women up for grabs. So hopefully we can get a sole winner, or if we get an equal winner, I think we just give away 2. Let's just do that.
Cut it in half.
Absolutely. Well, Jane, we've had coaching royalty in our dugout section. We've now got Australian TV royalty in the Around the Ground section of our podcast. We welcome a journalist, a presenter, a podcaster, but most importantly, a hockey lover. We have got Sandra Sully on the Hockey Hour. Welcome to the Hockey Hour, Sandra.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. It's a real thrill, to be honest.
It is a thrill for us too. We're very happy to have you, and your role within hockey in Australia has been really impressive. And I guess you've had some positions on the Hockey Australia board and now Hockey One, which we'll touch on. But what we like to ask our guests straight off the bat is what their coffee order is.
I should say Short Black because that's the name of my podcast.
I thought you might say that.
And that's the name of my Instagram account, because when I set it up, news was changing and evolving all the time, and people were watching us in more digestible chunks. You know, they were watching it on phones and screens wherever they were. So I wanted a short, sharp hit of news, and I had created a digital newspaper that I pumped out twice a day. So I wanted to call that Short Black. Short, sharp hit of news. And now it's morphed into who knows what.
Whatever's on offer.
Gosh, that's, I reckon, the first Short Black we've had. I don't know if I could handle a Short Black. That's too much.
Maybe a piccolo.
Yeah, true. Little spicy baby chino, I like to call them. So I don't know if many people know this, but you dabbled in hockey, is that right? You had a bit of a playing history in the sport of hockey. Tell us a bit of how you've come to be in hockey, or your playing history, I guess.
Look, I grew up in Brisbane, and I used to play for Bulimba. I started to play hockey at high school. Primary school was acrobatics, swimming, netball. And then when I started at high school, I switched to hockey and just fell in love with the game. I stayed playing at my high school in inter-school comps, and then I joined a local club, Bulimba, which is now home of the Brisbane Hockey Centre. And I played for them for as long as I could. Then I played the indoor, on the off-season. And then when I moved, it was just really hard to continue playing, but I absolutely loved it. It wasn't very good,
brilliant.
But I loved it.
Well, it's not about really that, is it? It's about, it's such a hard sport for people to pick up, especially those who play for the first time. So it's the love of running around and using the stick and whacking the ball, I think, is what people fall in love with. So is that a sport, or is there another sport that you might have tried to excel at given an opportunity?
Look, I have a crack at just about everything, but I just liked hockey. I think once you get past the fear of the ball, for a lot of younger women who I meet, I do encourage them, because it allows you to be competitive in a team environment, which I really love, team sports, for all the obvious reasons. And it's quite good to let out a bit of aggression against a ball or an opposing player.
Wow, that sounds
I'm not
Jane.
one known to drop the shoulder, but you can tell hard.
I agree. It's hard to explain the frustration you can vent on a hockey field. Safely, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. And I just really love the team aspect. And I played on the forward line, and I really, really just loved it. I mean, I always have. And it's funny, the connections, later in life where you meet different people. When I was on the Hockey Australia board, we were pitching for, I think, one state to, host some tournaments. And I can probably tell this now that they are no longer at this particular state tourism body. But I picked up the phone to the certain CEO of a certain group and said, "Hey, Chippy, remember, want some support, want some hockey love?" And of course, we played together, and she went, "Of course, Sandra, just don't tell anyone."
No, I think it's always great having people like yourself in the positions you hold, backing our sport in and keeping it within the media landscape. I'm talking about media. Obviously, you've been in the media for decades now and across a lot of different forms of media. But in terms of being a sports fan, was there a drive to want to get into being a sports reporter and going down that avenue at all?
Look, I grew up in a family that loved sports. So I had two older brothers. Both played league most of their life. And then the high school I was at mostly played rugby union. I don't know if you're familiar with the difference, but so one brother excelled in league and the other excelled at union. They're both very good in their field. I love sport, but I fell in love with journalism outside of sport, and that was purely by accident. But I think, everywhere I've worked, which was 7 very briefly in Prime in Canberra, but 10 for, 30-something years, they know that I've loved sports. So I had the good fortune of going to the Com Games in Victoria, Canada, and then critically, 96 Atlanta. And I got to watch the men win bronze, which they were, it was bittersweet. But then the women won gold. And this is a story rarely told because we were a non-rights holder. But I got on the bus with the girls from the ground to the village before I was kicked off with a camo. I was the only one on the bus, and I begged Channel 10 to dig in the archives and get me that footage. Danny Roach and all of the team from the 96 gold team, just say, Sandra, please, can you find it? Oh, I'm down dead ends, because the network's been through so many changes and they don't always hang on to that footage. But, oh, man, for me personally, that is an absolute highlight.
That would have been gold.
It
was. It really was.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, it would have been great to obviously get that footage, but it's always a great, even better story to tell because you can add as much mayo as you want on it as well each time. And,
Been there. Just been there. I wasn't at the Sydney Olympics. I watched from home. I wasn't at the game. I got family members' tickets, go figure, and then the girls won. I was watching from home. But to actually be at a game when either a men or women win gold is next level.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I can only imagine that. Who kicked you off? Probably Rick.
No, it was actually the rights holders. It was Channel 7.
Oh, okay. No,
Oh,
not the girls.
But that's
Fair
okay. That's the game, I was lucky and cheeky to get in the way I
did well. Now, you obviously filled days full serving on the Hockey Australia board. Give us an idea of, how you got involved initially and what it sort of looks like as a Hockey Australia board member.
Look, initially I was approached because a board member was coming off and they wanted someone with some media and comms experience. And I was very reluctant initially because I didn't have board experience. But they said, look, you love hockey and there's a skill set now, with boards. So you need to fulfill the skill set that's required. So you get that diversity of not just thinking, but approach and also matching what the board needs, what the business needs at the time. So I was basically pretty quiet for the first couple of years, just head down, bum up, learning as much as I could. And, eventually ended up, as vice president. Jane, you'd be well aware, and I'm sure you would be too, Jace. I came on not long before Rio. And then it was just a really tough 5 or 6 years for the women. Tough for the men too. We've had a really tough time. And then, it was understanding how to rebuild culture, how does a board understand what's really going on within a playing group? Because you know what you're told. You know what's said. Different people say different things and you can get various versions of events and you've got to do your best, due diligence to get the best evidence you can. And then how do you redress it? And then do you look at the structure of, say, for example, the high performance unit, the board itself, the coaching staff, the players, not everyone tells you what's really going on. It's always their version of events, and that's reasonable to a degree. Excuse me 1 second. Someone just wants to come in. It's everyone's, version of events, but as a board member, your job is to try to elicit the truth and then determine what's the best course of action that's right for everyone. But we had I believe, I've worked in Canberra, covered federal elections. There is more politics in sport than there is in Canberra.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yep.
And it's really
more.
tough, like I grew up in Queensland, and I know the high performance unit's been in Perth for a very long time, and historically, it was there for the right reasons, but the East Coast felt really tough and left out. And, you got families of ex-players who had to do the traverse of the nation and were really angry about, there wasn't enough support, and all of those arguments still stand, right? But then to be a part of the hockey board when we went through the Centre of Excellence decision was really just so fascinating. And, we made sure we had board members who were experienced at tendering and construction proposals and development, so, we tried to make sure that the board was well versed in every aspect of something like an expression of interest from every state and territory. And then developing that short list and dealing with the politics of who believed they should have been shortlisted, regardless of whether their offer was up to speed.
Yeah,
It
you
was
guys navigated that really well, I thought. I think people always have their biases, but I felt how methodically you kind of communicated it afterwards. It all kind of made sense, and unless you had a huge bias, which I think some people did, then they tried to twist it to sound different. But you have to go where the funding and money is. And,
look, Jane, that's a real compliment coming from you, because you were there through it, so I appreciate hearing that. Look, it was a really tough experience, but I think the board after Rio and then was it Tokyo, and then before Paris. I think the board had learned a lot through those cultural upheavals and losing high performers, like coaches, and there was wholesale change at a board level, at a high performance unit level. And don't forget, what I think is really challenging and equally a huge credit to most federated sports is you're federated, so you've got to work with the MAs, the member associations. Everyone's a volunteer and everyone has their own backyard as their best interest. And that's okay, but when you're trying to navigate everyone's personal biases and develop a national plan that's right for the whole of sport, finding that solution was really tricky. But I think that first 6 or 7 years gave us all a lot of good experience, so that I agree, Jane, you're not happy with every decision as a board, you speak as one. But I was really proud of the way the board handled that. And at the end of the day, no one really could compete with the money that was on the table. And look, when it came right down to it, we extracted every ounce of blood we could out of, and I'm not talking money, I'm talking athlete support and travel allowances and all the other ancillary things that people thought. Because my argument at the time, and I'm not on the board anymore, but, it can't just be about a shiny edifice. What does it give the future of our sport? And how does it help, 16-year-old kids growing up in Toowoomba, Rocky, Kalgoorlie, wherever? How do we give their families confidence that we're going to take their kids and look after them and give them a runway and support them? So there were issues we really carried a lot of weight. But at the end of the day, I believe the right decision was made. Absolutely.
No, yeah, I think for your first board experience, the terms you did were probably through the hardest part of Hockey Australia. But yeah, I always said that it's a testament that we had a really great board members in that board, and you guys would always willingly ask for feedback and connect with the athletes and ask for their opinion, even if you were getting contradictory opinions on various different topics. Like, I think that it's rare that a board asks the people that it governs what they think of the situation. And so, yeah, you did, I think, the best possible job you could have done during that whole period.
That's really rewarding to hear. But I do think, you know, and you do need change, you know, like the board has a 10-year limit. So my time was up, and it was the right thing that I come off, because you need, you know, fresh ideas and fresh faces. But the careful thing you can't lose is the history and the learnings. You know, it just can't be changed for change's sake, because otherwise you're reinventing the wheel constantly, you know, and you've got to learn from those mistakes. But yeah, it's been a marvellous, absolutely marvellous experience. And then, you know, I dovetailed into the Hockey One board just to stay connected. So I'm really enjoying that. And look, when I was on the Hockey Australia board, for me, it was all about Hockey One, creating a product, a domestic product that we could find a spot, a calendar event, broadcast deal. You know, I'm a commercial beast. I know if you don't sell the space, you know, you don't have a future. And I didn't want us as a sport to wither on the vine. You know, it took 5 years to get Hockey One up, 5 years at a board level, to convince the purists that we needed an entertainment product.
Yeah.
And we're still arguing.
And
because
talking about Hockey One, what's your vision for it, and where does it sit along that spectrum right now in terms of what you're wanting the end product to kind of look like?
Well, unfortunately, as a board member, I really can't say, because I don't want to give away any discussions that we're having. I've got all sorts of views. I just can't express them. But I will challenge the purists. And when we started the initial discussions on Hockey One, you know, I worked at 10, and don't forget, it took a very long time for Cricket Australia to accept that the Big Bash was the winner, and it was on 10, and I got the head of sport at 10. Big Bash started somewhere else. I honestly can't remember where. And we had a head of sport who was really savvy, very, very clever sports broadcaster, and I got him to donate his, his time and IP to sit on those early meetings for free and give us advice. And he turned the Big Bash into a successful product, which is now being sold by Cricket Australia. Right. So, but at the time, we could not convince the purists. So what my comparison is always, you know, is it Test cricket? Is it Big Bash? Or is it 2020? I don't know where the answer is, but we have to keep asking ourselves. We can't be all things to all people. And we know in a challenging Olympic and Commonwealth Games environment, now we're not in the Com Games because we've got World Cup. Let's hope we qualify. Darwin. Anyway, my Kiwis are happy, so I don't begrudge them. And I'm now on the Oceania Federation as well. So I'm enjoying seeing that sort of regional perspective. And look, these are volunteer roles. Don't get me wrong, I'm not being a martyr, but it's just a chance to continue to learn about the game from different aspects. So, yeah, I think the community needs to think about. I just listened to the shootout yesterday from Orch and Adam Clifford, who's a fellow board member, and you know, Orch brought up the fact that, you know, maybe it's at the wrong time of the year. Now, the reason that was chosen was it was a sweet spot when rugby league and rugby union and AFL finished before cricket and tennis started. And broadcasters needed an appetite to want to play it. Now, don't forget, we started this before all the streaming services. So now, you know, there doesn't have to be a window because there's always another channel. But, you know, you don't have broadcasters champing in the bit wanting to broadcast our content. So they don't dictate terms, but I think as a sport, we've got to constantly challenge ourselves about what's the right time, what's the right format, does it serve its purpose? Does it need to stay where I was going before, you know, in the Olympic and Commonwealth Games? You know, the Olympics, the Junior Olympics, they cut back the size of the team for a reason. The reason rugby 15s never got up was it's too expensive. That's why the sevens got up. Now, you know, well, there's no guarantee hockey in 10 years' time is still going to be at 11 aside. They might say it's too expensive.
Yep.
Now, we've done really well in Brisbane because we've got the Gold Coast and that's been established. Amazing, right? But longer term, I think we have to continue to identify and evolve our game. And I think social hockey's a really understated, underrated opportunity for people like me who love hockey and are time poor. I mean, the last 3 years I played indoor, I couldn't train. I just turned up. I just wanted to hit out, keep fit, play the game I love, have a crack, you know, and instead of just, you know, the regular 9 or 10 in the team, we had kind of 20 because everyone was working. So as long as we had enough players turn up to play, you know, and that's where indoor, I think, could play a big role because it's not weather dependent. So we've got to constantly evolve our offerings and make sure we service not just the traditionalists and the purists, because, you know, they're going to wither on the vine. And maybe we can or we can't continue to afford or have the venue or the platform to play it. I don't know what the Olympics are going to do in 10 years' time. But we've got to be ready and we've got to keep trying things and stay innovative. I think that's really important. But getting those purists, you know, off their rusted on seats, you know, you need a crowbar, I can tell you. I love them, don't get me wrong, and they have a right to be heard, but so does everyone. And I don't know what the answer is, and, you know, but we just got to keep bashing it about, don't we? Have a robust and engaging conversation.
Conversations Jane and I have had, some through this podcast and some off air as well, when we're just nattering away. But yeah, time frames of Hockey One and the structure and the format we've discussed, and yeah, the Hockey Fives versus, you know, 11 aside, I think is a really, really viable conversation to have now, essentially based on what you've just said. It's going to be fascinating to see how the game plays, and it just needs to happen, and then people to slowly start to accept it, and then just becomes the norm, I suppose. So, yeah.
And I think the perception too is that the Hockey One board make all the decisions, and we do, but we are an instrument of our shareholders, and our shareholders are the MAs. Right?
Absolutely.
So they carry the weight. We carry out instructions. We'll have a viewpoint. I'm not giving away too much, I don't think. But like that's the reality of you know, you need stakeholder engagement. You've got to keep your board members or your shareholders happy. And when you've got a federated sport, that is by its very nature the evil axis of everything you have to do. It can be fantastic. You've also got to marry up and weigh up and make sure the decisions are weighted so that the bigger states don't carry the day. You know, if you want. So there's a lot of issues at play at any one time, which is really important. Sometimes, for example, you wish it wasn't federated, and then you would argue, well, if you've got a really good board, they make the decisions, they live and die by the decisions, and if they make poor decisions, then they get voted off and you bring in a new board. I mean, what the game suffers during that tumult can be horrendous, but then being stuck doesn't help either.
100%.
If you look at Rugby Australia, you know, like they've had so much change, but they're on a better footing now after a successful, you know, line series. I mean, I look I spend a lot of time looking at other sports and that that pendulum and what they go through. It is tough, federated sports, but then, you know, we have the most impressive national footprint, particularly in regional Australia.
Yep.
You know, we should be really proud of that. And I don't think we capture it as well as we should. I mean, I don't think we get the right numbers for the schools program. You know, anyway, I'm not being critical of Hockey Australia. It's just hard. It's hard to get volunteers.
Yes.
They're professional in their own right, in their own time, given all the other things they're juggling. But we're asking a lot of volunteers. But that's sport, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
it's
no,
you're completely correct. Volunteers are the sort of driver behind our sport, and it's always very appreciative to hear the stories of volunteers or them being acknowledged in any kind of way, because some of them do it for many years and don't hear a peep, and it's such an important part to our sport. And we appreciate you giving us an insight into Hockey Australia's board and obviously as much as you could for Hockey One.
Just on the volunteers, we are nothing without them. And I think HA has done a lot to start to elevate their stories and showcase and encourage clubs and teams and schools, you name it, to really, highlight their heroes and celebrate them, because we wouldn't have a game without them.
100%.
Agreed.
100%. We're going to throw one in here, or a couple in here, just to finish off a little bit lighter.
Okay.
Hearted. Do you? We didn't actually plan for this one, but I was thinking about it, and I'm curious for your answer. Do you have a favourite Kookaburra and Hockey-Roo currently?
I can't say.
You can say Jane if you want.
Yeah, it's fine. Previous.
I know, she's still sitting here. I saw you in Paris.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
No. I didn't get in your way. I just sat in the stands.
No, it was great. It was good.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I find it hard. I think everyone, brings so much to the table. Like, they really do. Their skill set, for someone that was borderline average, they're all superstars, really.
Love it. Good answer. And one to finish off, and this can be non-hockey related if you'd like. Is there a favourite moment and a most nerve-wracking moment of sport over your time that you can think of?
Any sport. Well, I was in Atlanta, 96, poolside. Kieran Perkins qualified lane 8 for the final. He had a stomach bug. He was really ill. Oh, to see him bring that home. Unbelievable.
Incredible.
Unbelievable. But equally, might I add, just bring it back to Hockey One. Do you want to know how I got Andy Lee and Steve Curry to do the first Hockey One?
Yes, please.
Remember the video when we were sponsored by Cadbury?
Yes.
I found out, someone told me that Andy Lee was a hockey player. I saw him at the Logies. So I went up to him with a couple of shampoos under my belt. And he was standing with Stephen Curry, and I'd heard Stephen Curry was a player as well, the famous actor.
Yes.
And I just collared them at the Logies and said, guys, we're launching Hockey One. We need your help. Will you promise me? We'll just do a little video. It'll only take half a day. It's all we need. Will you promise, please, please, please? I begged him at the Logies. And then about, I don't know how many weeks later, I came back. I was on the Hockey Australia board, and I spoke to the people, the build-up for the launch of Hockey One. And I said, can we get a camera down? We've got Andy Lee and Steve Curry. Steve Curry's in the goals. Andy Lee's going to play. Steve Curry broke a rib that day.
Yes, I remember.
I know, I felt so bad. But what a
did
great way to kick off the whole thing.
I feel like every good story starts at when we were at the Logies.
Honestly, every time I see them, I know they kind of shy away now, as if, don't ask me again for another hockey thing, Sandra. It's like, but you guys are superstars and you love hockey. Come on. Too funny.
Oh, brilliant. Look, Sandra, thank you so much. We've haven't had probably a guest as big as you in the media and broadcasting space, and we very much appreciate your time in a very, very busy time for you. We hope our listeners have got a bit of an understanding of how things work and a little bit more about you in the hockey space. We, like I said, very much appreciate your time and thank you for joining us on the Hockey Hour.
Hey, thank you for promoting hockey. We've got some great podcasts now, haven't we, on the sport? And the next couple of years are looking really exciting. So thanks for the opportunity, but you guys keep doing what you're doing because we just got to keep growing the game. It's not hard to convince people. Once you get them to a game, they're hooked.
Yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
I agree.
Yeah, as long as it's not a tomahawk.
Yeah, a few dangerous ones on Sunday, but thank you so much, Sandra. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Geez, how good was Sandra Sully, Jane?
Yeah, gosh, she is one very good talker, obviously. I wish I had that type of voice. But yeah, I think it will really give people a lot of insight into what happens behind closed doors. I think a lot of people like to throw stones and they don't realise the depth of thought and effort and time that goes into, one, developing hockey, but all of these decisions that happen across hockey. So hopefully it quietens down their little keyboard warriors out there.
I love it. I love it. We thank Sandra very much for her time for joining us. That's all for this episode. Of course, we've got a handful more to come, but you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watch it on YouTube. We, of course, always appreciate your feedback and your questions. So either send them through hockey_WA on Instagram or send them directly to Jane or I. We love them. But for this week, episode 26, we are out for the Hockey Hour.